In a breaking development that has sent shockwaves through the Middle East conflict, Iran has struck United States military aircraft in dramatic fashion within the last 24 hours as the war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran continues into its fifth week following the initial joint strikes launched on February 28, 2026. Before we dive deeper into these critical updates, if you want to stay ahead on all the latest from the front lines of global conflicts, make sure to follow and subscribe to Apex Report right now, turn on notifications, and join our community for real-time alerts, because developments like this are unfolding by the hour, and you do not want to miss a single update. Reports from multiple U.S. officials and international outlets, including ABC News, The New York Times, and Pentagon briefings confirm that Iranian forces shot down an F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet over southwestern Iranian territory, with the 2 crew members ejecting from the aircraft, one of whom has been successfully rescued by American forces, while the second service member remains missing, prompting an urgent and high-risk search and rescue operation deep inside hostile territory. At the same time, Iranian air defenses struck a second U.S. combat aircraft, an A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthog, which crashed after sustaining damage with its lone pilot ejecting safely and being rescued, though the exact circumstances of that incident near the Strait of Hormuz or adjacent waters remain under review by Pentagon sources. Compounding the intensity of the situation, 2 United States Black Hawk helicopters deployed as part of the search and rescue effort for the missing F-15 crew were hit by Iranian ground fire during the operation, sustaining damage yet. Both aircraft managed to exit Iranian airspace and return to base, with some crew members reporting injuries, though all personnel are accounted for according to U.S. military statements from Central Command. This sequence of events marks the first confirmed instance of U.S. manned combat aircraft being brought down by enemy fire since the outbreak of the current conflict, and represents a significant tactical setback challenging earlier assertions from the Trump administration that Iranian air defenses had been largely neutralized and air superiority firmly established after more than a month of sustained operations. The details emerging from the field paint a tense picture of rapid response and vulnerability in what has become a highly dynamic aerial battlefield where every mission carries elevated risks. The F-15E Strike Eagle, a twin-engine all-weather fighter bomber known for its advanced avionics precision strike capabilities and long-range operations, was conducting missions over Iran when it was engaged and downed by Iranian surface-to-air systems. According to both American confirmation and statements from Iranian state media, which quickly released images purporting to show wreckage from the aircraft, along with claims of a successful defense of their airspace. One crew member was extracted successfully in the initial rescue phase, but the fate of the second airman, whose status is listed as missing, has triggered a large-scale effort involving additional support aircraft, including C-130, Hercules variants, drone assets, and coordination with Israeli allies operating in contested airspace. During this high-stakes mission, the 2 Black Hawk helicopters, which are versatile utility and combat search and rescue platforms based on the UH-60 design, came under fire from Iranian forces or associated ground elements, with video footage circulated by Iranian outlets showing low-flying helicopters being engaged by small arms fire and possibly heavier anti-aircraft weapons. Yet the crews demonstrated remarkable resilience by maintaining control and withdrawing to safety despite the hits. Separately, the A-10 Warthog, an armored close air support aircraft renowned for its durability, titanium bathtub armor, and ability to withstand significant battle damage, including from ground fire, was struck by Iranian defenses, leading to its crash in the Persian Gulf region or near Kuwaiti waters, with the pilot ejecting and being recovered without further incident, marking yet another loss in a single 24-hour period. United States Central Command and Pentagon briefings have emphasized that these incidents occurred amid broader ongoing operations in the theater, while Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps statements have touted the downings as proof of resilient defenses and have even gone so far as to offer rewards for the capture of any downed U.S. personnel, heightening the drama surrounding the missing airman and turning the search into a potential hostage situation if Iranian forces locate him first. This development arrives just days after President Donald Trump delivered a national address declaring that core strategic objectives in the campaign against Iran were nearing completion and that intensified strikes would continue for the next 2 to 3 weeks to fully achieve American and allied goals, including the neutralization of nuclear sites, ballistic missile programs, and senior leadership targets. The war itself erupted on February 28th with surprise U.S. and Israeli airstrikes under operations such as Epic Fury and Roaring Lion, targeting Iranian nuclear facilities, ballistic missile sites, military infrastructure command centers, and senior leadership, including the reported assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, which triggered an interim leadership process in Tehran and a wave of Iranian retaliatory missile and drone attacks across the region. Striking targets in Israel, U.S. bases in Gulf states, disrupting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, and even causing fires and damage in areas like the Negev and Rosh Hashanah in Israel. Over the past 5 weeks, the conflict has inflicted heavy damage on Iranian military capabilities, with reports of degraded air defenses, naval assets, command structures, and energy infrastructure. Yet Iran has demonstrated persistent ability to mount asymmetric responses, including the recent aerial engagements that caught U.S. forces off guard during what was intended as a routine search and rescue evolution. Analysts note that the loss of even one aircraft to enemy action after weeks of claimed dominance underscores the challenges of operating in contested environments where residual Iranian surface-to-air systems ground-based threats. Mobile launchers remain active, particularly in southwestern provinces like Kogiluya and Boyar Ahmad, where the F-15 incident is believed to have occurred. The A-10 Warthog's involvement in the rescue support role highlights how even heavily armored platforms designed for low-level close air support can be vulnerable when Iranian forces adapt their tactics to exploit windows of opportunity during vulnerable low-altitude operations. As the search for the missing U.S. service member continues, American forces are balancing the imperative to recover personnel with the risks of further exposure to Iranian countermeasures, with officials confirming that the operation involves coordination with Israeli allies, careful monitoring of potential escalation points, and the use of a full spectrum of assets, from helicopters to fixed-wing support, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance platforms, and even aerial refueling tankers to sustain the effort. Iranian state television and affiliated outlets have amplified the narrative of these successes, broadcasting footage of the engagement site's wreckage and claimed intercepts, while encouraging local forces, civilians, and militias to assist in locating any surviving crew members, which adds a layer of urgency, uncertainty, and humanitarian complexity to the mission. U.S. sources speaking on condition of anonymity have described the Black Hawk hits as involving ground fire that caused operational damage but not catastrophic failure, allowing the helicopters to limp back despite reported minor injuries among crew, which are being treated at forward medical facilities in the region. This is not the first aerial incident in the broader campaign, as earlier friendly fire events involving F-15Es over Kuwait in early March resulted in safe ejections. But those were distinct from direct enemy action, and the current cases represent a qualitative shift in the threat environment after more than a month of sustained U.S. and Israeli pressure that had previously minimized such losses. The implications of these strikes extend beyond the immediate tactical losses, highlighting the enduring capabilities of Iranian integrated air defense networks, even after extensive degradation through weeks of precision strikes, and raising questions about the pace, sustainability, and risk assessment of the ongoing air campaign. President Trump has been personally briefed on the incidents, according to White House and Pentagon readouts, with the administration maintaining that such events will not deter the pursuit of strategic objectives, including the complete neutralization of Iran's nuclear ambitions, long-range missile programs, and support for regional proxies. Global markets have reacted with volatility amid fears of prolonged disruption to energy flows through the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran has exerted influence through toll collections, threats to shipping, and retaliatory actions, further complicating the economic backdrop of the war, which has already caused civilian casualties, displacement, and regional instability affecting Lebanon, Gulf states, and beyond. International observers, including those from the United Nations, have called for de-escalation, while noting the disproportionate impact on civilian populations in Iran and neighboring areas, though military spokespersons from the U.S. and Israel continue to stress precision targeting aimed at regime military and nuclear targets rather than broad civilian infrastructure. In the hours since the incidents unfolded, additional details have trickled in from geolocated videos. Satellite imagery analysis and official statements showing low-altitude operations by U.S. rescue assets over Iranian terrain, which exposed them to opportunistic fire from ground units, possibly including Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps elements, local militias, or shoulder-fired systems. The Black Hawk platforms involved are understood to be variants such as the HH-60 or UH-60, configured for combat search and rescue, with advanced defensive systems, countermeasures, and rugged construction that allowed them to absorb the hits and egress successfully, a testament to their design, but also an indicator that Iranian forces are adapting to exploit low and slow-flying targets during vulnerable rescue windows when attention is divided. The A-10 Warthog's resilience is similarly noteworthy, as the aircraft is built to survive heavy damage from anti-aircraft artillery. Yet in this case, the combination of Iranian air defenses and the operational context proved sufficient to force its downing near critical maritime choke points, like the Strait of Hormuz, which remains a flashpoint for potential wider disruption to global oil supplies. Pentagon assessments describe the overall air campaign as having achieved substantial degradation of Iranian capabilities, including the destruction of numerous air defense radars, launchers, command nodes, and production facilities. Yet these latest engagements serve as a reminder that complete air supremacy in such a vast, mountainous, and defended country remains elusive, particularly when operations push deeper into contested zones to support high-value missions like personnel recovery. As this story continues to develop, the focus remains squarely on the ongoing search and rescue mission for the missing F-15 crew member, with U.S. forces employing every available asset to locate and extract the airman before any potential capture by Iranian elements, which could complicate diplomatic efforts or lead to propaganda victories for Tehran. Iranian media has stepped up its coverage, framing the events as a turning point that challenges U.S. narratives of victory and has called on regional allies and proxies to increase pressure and solidarity while rejecting certain overtures for ceasefires, unless they include guarantees against further strikes and reparations for damages inflicted since February. For American service members and their families, the incidents bring into sharp relief the human cost of the conflict, which has already seen significant resources, committed casualties on multiple sides, and a heavy operational tempo since the February onset. Military experts reviewing the available data suggest that future operations may incorporate adjusted tactics such as higher altitude strikes, enhanced electronic warfare measures, greater standoff distances, or increased reliance on unmanned systems to mitigate similar risks. While the broader strategic picture involves continued pressure on Iranian energy sites, leadership remnants, and infrastructure, as outlined in recent presidential statements warning that more is coming if Iran does not comply with demands to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and halt enrichment activities. The 24-hour period encompassing these aircraft losses has undoubtedly altered the momentum narrative in the Iran war, with the downing of 2 jets and hits on 2 Black Hawks serving as a stark illustration of the persistent dangers faced by coalition aircrews despite weeks of preparatory bombardment that targeted key nodes in Iran's defensive network. U.S. officials have reiterated that the mission to secure long-term objectives remains on track, emphasizing that isolated tactical reversals do not undermine the cumulative effect of sustained operations that have crippled key Iranian military infrastructure, nuclear-related sites, and command structures. Meanwhile, the humanitarian and diplomatic dimensions grow more complex as calls for ceasefires or negotiations circulate amid the chaos, with Iran maintaining its position unless conditions are met and the U.S. signaling no slowdown in operations. As the sun rises on the next phase of this fluid conflict, the world watches closely to see how the United States and its allies respond to this challenge, whether through intensified retaliatory strikes, calibrated de-escalation, or a renewed push to conclude the campaign on terms favorable to American and Israeli interests. Updates from the field, official channels, and on-the-ground reporting will continue to shape the unfolding events, and the global community remains on edge, awaiting further clarity on the status of the missing service member, the trajectory of the wider war effort, and any potential shifts in the balance of power across the region. This latest chapter in the Iran conflict underscores how, even after extensive military pressure, a determined defender can still inflict meaningful costs in asymmetric ways, forcing adjustments in strategy and reminding everyone involved that modern warfare in contested airspace demands constant vigilance, innovation, and rapid adaptation. The F-15E, the A-10, and the Black Hawks represent some of the most capable platforms in the U.S. inventory. Yet, their encounters with Iranian defenses highlight the evolving nature of threats from integrated air defense systems, mobile units, and ground-based ambushes that can turn a rescue mission into a secondary battlefront. With one airman still unaccounted for and tensions at a boiling point, the coming hours and days will be critical in determining not only the immediate outcomes of these incidents, but also the longer-term path toward any potential resolution or escalation in what has become one of the most significant conflicts in the region in recent decades. Stay tuned to Apex Report as we monitor every development, provide in-depth analysis, and bring you the facts as they emerge, because in situations like this, accurate, timely information is essential for understanding the full picture of what is at stake for global security, energy markets, and international stability. The situation remains fluid, with new reports potentially arriving at any moment, and our team is committed to delivering comprehensive coverage without bias or delay. So if you have not already done so, subscribe, follow, like, and share this video to help spread awareness and ensure you never miss an update on these pivotal events shaping the world today.